What's up, A to Z Sports here live on a Thursday. Going to have a good show because Rand Carthon put on a clinic yesterday afternoon at his press conference after the Titans' 53-man roster is set, then making a couple waiver wire claims, making a couple corresponding moves. Some guys got cut that were kind of surprising, but not surprising, and one guy who was cut that's going to be back. There's so many different news and notes to go through with this roster situation. But the overall theme is, man, Rand Carthon's killing it, and he has been killing it this entire offseason, and the offseason is now over as the Titans are prepping for week 1 in Chicago against the Bears. So we're going to have a great show here this morning on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch to going through the several different topics about Rand expanding on the trade of Ernest Jones, trading away Malik Willis, a roster depth issue at a key position. It is an interesting discussion point as well. So we'll go through all that here from GM Rand Carthon and head coach Brian Callahan throughout the entire show. And then it's Thursday, which means it is time for the Magic Bucket. So Sam, what's up? Welcome in. I know it was a busy afternoon for you guys at St. Thomas Sports Park. So welcome in. Let's get this thing rolling.
Yeah, hey, it was a loaded afternoon at St. Thomas Sports Park, Austin. It was tough to find a topic for today's show because there was just so much going on in Titans world right now. And I think a lot that Titans fans are very excited about. So we're going to try and do the best of both worlds and just go down the list and hit all of the hot button issues, hit all of the things that Titans fans need to know about, things that you and I need to break down. It's going to be a loaded morning here on A to Z Sports. So for those of you watching, without further ado, go share the show. Like, get it out there that we're breaking it all down here this morning. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the share button in the bottom right. If you're watching on YouTube, take the YouTube link, find a Titans fan, a Titans group chat, a friend in your life, and introduce them to A to Z Sports. That's the best way to support us, is get people in here this morning as we break down this clinic that Rand Carthon put on yesterday and kick things off on a Thursday morning.
All right, let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan, our Titans reporter for A to Z Sports.com. And we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors, and they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where to go to make them a part of your new car buying process. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care, and Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. You can do that by saving money on your health coverage and getting better health coverage on top of it. And you can do that with our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ. So, Sam, kind of set the table for us. Yesterday, crazy day, right? Because they just practiced, and then nobody really knew was out there before the practice. Ernest Jones was there. Quick flight from L.A. to Nashville, obviously, since the trade happened. And set the table for us on what yesterday was like for you guys overall at Titans Media.
Well, I can speak to what it was like for me. You had sort of Tuesday, which was roster cut down day, where the Titans set their initial 53-man roster. You had a general idea of, what the team structure looked like. I don't think anybody in Titans world was surprised to know that the team was going to be active on the waiver wire. Some of the breakdowns of like weaker position groups and stacked position groups just made you feel like the structure of the Titans roster wasn't going to hold into the regular season. Way too many linebackers, not enough DBs, et cetera, et cetera. They could use an upgrade at a few different positions. So throughout yesterday afternoon, we awaited Titans waiver claim news, which ended up coming out right around noon. Titans put in 2 waiver claims, added 2 new players to their roster, and then had to make corresponding moves for those said waiver claims. Those moves started to trickle out again later throughout the afternoon, where you start to get, all right, Nick Vannett is being cut. Then right around 3 p.m. or so, Titans players are coming off the field. We're trying to speak to, the guys that made the 53-man roster. We're trying to all speak with Ernest Jones as he was on the practice field for his first Titans practice. L'Jarius Sneed and Chidobe Awuzie are out there. We're trying to speak with them. And then the news comes out, Elijah Molden has been traded. So a hectic afternoon. that was capped off by a press conference with Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan sitting down, wearing matching outfits, going over pretty much every single topic that, is on the mind of Titans fans and Titans media right now. We hit everything from roster cuts to the Malik Willis trade, to the Elijah Molden trade, to, practice squad quarterbacks and what they could be looking to add at those positions moving forward. I thought it was a really informative press conference. I think, listening to Rand and Callie speak gets Titans fans really fired up for what is to come right now. So it was a lively day in Titans world, Austin, and that's why today's show so difficult to plan, but why we have so much to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. And Bork says Vanette was a surprise to get cut, and then Jared says I already got Vanette back, right?
He's coming back, and so this was something that we literally talked about with Rand Carthon in real time. As I sat there listening to him speak, was Nick Vanette gets cut, and then Nick Vanette's coming back on the 53-man roster, and he breaks that news to us there in person, and then lets us know that Cedric Gray is going to injured reserve. But Rand took a little bit of pleasure in breaking that news himself. So the Titans manipulating some of these roster things here to get the players they want on their team and make the necessary transactions. But yeah, I would say overall, Austin, my takeaway from the last 2 days, I think the Titans got better. I absolutely think they got better, substantially better. I mean, you talked yesterday on the show about how they stole the headlines of cut day by grabbing a player like Ernest Jones. And then now as they cycle through different waiver claims and additions to their team, I think they continue to improve, which is really exciting sitting, a week and a half out from week one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I see people, Jane, why 5 tight ends? We'll talk about it. They need cornerbacks. We'll talk about that too. But Rand Carthon kicked off that press conference being asked a couple questions back to back about the newest Titan, and that is the new linebacker, Ernest Jones the fourth. So you got to throw the IV on there at the back. Ernest Jones the fourth coming over from the LA Rams. And I think everybody's surprised that a 24-year-old linebacker who was a captain, who started in the Super Bowl as a rookie on that Super Bowl championship team with the Rams, only came for a pick swap on day 3 of the 2026 NFL draft. But it was Rand Carthon on the entire process of trading for linebacker Ernest Jones that all came to fruition on Tuesday.
Yeah, Ernest is a good, young, talented linebacker in this league, has been, since he came in. And, we started conversations probably over the weekend. I've had a long-standing relationship, with Les Snead, worked together for 9 years, him and Tony Pastors. And so just started as the typical phone calls that we get this time of year. Hey, you guys looking for anybody? You guys shopping anybody? And the conversation started from there, and we looked into it and, did our research and watched the film. A bunch of us in the room, our coaches watched him and thought that he was a young player that could help us.
Concern you when they're so out on him and the price tag is so reasonable?
Well, no, I'm not, because, I have my intel. I worked in that building for 5-6 years, worked with Les for 9 years, and so I feel comfortable with the information I got out of there and the player that we were bringing in.
He talked a little bit about the knee just now, but from your understanding, what was the situation with it?
Well, not to violate HIPAA laws and talk about, his medical, but again, their head trainer, Reggie Scott, was trained under Todd Torricelli when he first came into the league. Their director of rehab, Byron Cunningham, was one of my closest friends. So in terms of getting the medical, understanding where the knee was, we were fully comfortable and knowledgeable of what it was and, and what we need to do for him to keep him going.
Austin, this is a Rand Carthon special right here. This is the Rand, if you could play a clip to embody who Rand Carthon is as a general manager in the NFL, I think this is a really good clip to play. I think this really showcases what Amy Adams Strunk saw in Rand when she hired him, and what Titans fans see in Rand right now that make their stock in him continue to rise. Number one, Ernest Jones, I'm really excited about as a player. He is the embodiment of Denard Wilson's defense in a linebacker, a guy that is just nasty and physical, downhill against the run, a guy who led all linebackers and quarterback pressures last year. So He can blitz and rush and pressure the quarterback. That's what the Titans want to do. And the thought of him being next to Kenneth Murray in this defense and him, Kenneth Murray, and Jack Gibbons rotating in at that inside linebacker spot make what once seemed like a big weakness of this team and makes it look like a huge strength and something that I'm really excited to see play out. In addition to that, he's 24 years old. He is a leader. This might not mean a lot to Titans fans out there, but Ernest Jones was the good guy award winner for the Rams last year. He's a guy who can speak and handles himself in front of the media really well, and he's a really good leader in the locker room. Aaron Donald said to Ernest Jones, "This is your defense now," in the offseason. And then Ernest Jones, obviously now a Tennessee Titan. So the fact that you're acquiring a player of that caliber at that age, very exciting. Clear red flags, right? Like clear potential things to be worried about. Well, why are the Rams so out on him? Why? Is the knee a concern? Is the contract a concern? But it's been all signs green light so far. Ernest Jones says he feels very good. He's not worried about a new contract. He's here to play football in Tennessee this year and feel things out. Rand Carthon using connections to potentially feel very good and get intel on where this player is. So, if Rand is right about Ernest Jones and he's getting the Ernest Jones that we saw last year, and he's able to bring that player in for a 2026 pick swap, that's a fleecing, man. That is really, really good stuff from your general manager. So Rand, the connected politician, the relationship guy through and through, calling back on relationships from the Rams.
Yeah.
Talking to Todd Torselli, talking to this, that, and the other, and this trainer and that, rehab dude to figure out where Ernest Jones is in his health and potentially get very good value for the Titans because of it. I love it, man. That was a really interesting answer.
Yeah, I called Rand Carthon the Titans' secret weapon back in May. Well, I don't think it's going to be a secret for much longer because the more Rand Carthon's on this job, the more he's doing things like this that steal the headlines across the NFL, the less of a secret it's going to be. And I think it's interesting, too, because we all jumped on Mike Vrabel for hiring his buddies, right? And I think that's something that you have to be we have to be honest with. Is like if you hate on Vrabel for hiring his buddies, but now you're praising Carthon for his relationships, I think let's look deeper into it. Because Rand said the trainer in LA is one of his best friends, right? But then he said he also trained and learned under the Titans head trainer, Todd Torselli. Well, Rand Carthon and Todd Torselli are not connected. So he has got now independent relationships that have come together. Plus, Denard Wilson is a former Rams employee who knows that front office very well, too, because of his time being in St. Louis and transitioning to LA with the Rams, with Rand a part of that as well. So there's so many different layers and cross references and checks and balances. So it's more than just, Vrabel's hiring his buddy or Rand's using his former boss, Les Snead, to get a trade, right? I think that is the difference.
Well, I want to point out what Matt said, because my thing is, I never had a problem with Vrabel hiring his buddies until, because if we're being honest, everybody does it. That is what the NFL is.
That's what the world is.
True, right? But every NFL head coach, if you're appointed and you're a defensive coordinator that gets a job as a head coach, about half of your defensive staff is probably coming with you to the new location, to the new gig, right? You bring your people that that you're comfortable with, that you know how they work, that know your system, that know how you want to do things. You bring them with you, but you have to have accountability for your friends too. And that was the issue with Mike Vrabel for me. It was never the fact that he didn't hire. It's not the fact that he hired his friends. It's that he refused to hold his friends accountable when they messed up until somebody else stepped in and forced him to do so. And then he replaced it with basically a carbon copy of the guy he fired. Mm-hmm. So that was Mike Vrabel refusing to adapt. That ultimately led to lack of success and him no longer being the Titans head coach. Mm-hmm. And I think you agreed and I agreed, and a lot of people would agree that if Mike Vrabel had like been able to adapt and hire a more dynamic offensive coordinator and replace his offensive coordinators, we saw the type of success the Titans were able to have under Mike Vrabel with a good OC, but it just hit a breaking point. And so Rand has not had to hit that point yet. Brian Callahan has not had to hit that point yet. Like this Titans coaching staff is all interwoven spider web of connections. And when you have not had success or failure up to this point, you haven't had to hold your guys responsible yet. So we'll see on that issue. But right now, it certainly seems like all of Rand's relationships are coming back into play for the Titans in a positive way. And he's finding a way to use them to advance his position as a general manager.
And last thing on this before we move on, because we've got a really good comment from about Malik Willis from Rand Carthon, but I think it's about how the circles for Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon were created. Mike Vrabel is a 3-time Super Bowl player, like a bona fide beast in the NFL who didn't have to work his way up like Rand did. Right? Vrabel was an establishment. And Vrabel, in his coaching career, was at Ohio State for a couple of years. Then he was the Houston Texans for 5? And then he got the head coaching
3
job.
is the linebackers coach, 2 is the defensive coordinator, head coach.
Just 1 is the DC. Before he got the head coaching job, right? So Rand's path, and so Vrabel's circle is automatically going to be tighter than Rand's. Because Rand had to do different things and work harder, honestly, to get to
He was in Atlanta. He was in LA. He was in San Francisco. Like, he's made a couple of stops. And
yeah, absolutely. And so, and along that path, he has been able to, he was a scout, which means you're talking to everybody. When you're a linebackers coach, you're not talking to everybody. As a scout, you're on the road, you're at all these Senior Bowls, the Shrine Bowls, everything. And so that is why Rand has such a wide net of a circle where Vrabel probably didn't, because of the really good player path, right? It's not that just Vrabel was a player, is that he was a really good player path. Yeah. And so I think that's an interesting dynamic of how things work. That's why you don't see as many really good players high up in different head coaches or executive positions, because they didn't have that path because they were playing during that path when all these other guys started being GAs at 22 years old or 23 years old.
Absolutely.
That's just how the industry grows.
It requires you to be this politician that Rand is in many ways. And you nurture relationships first and foremost. And I think when Rand first got here and took this job, his emphasis on relationships was kind of an eye roll topic for me. It was kind of like, all right, we get it, right? Like, you want people that you're familiar with, that you like. And the longer that this has gone on, I have just been overwhelmingly impressed with the power that Rand seems to have over some of these relationships. And it's not hard to see, right? Talking to Rand myself, every time I talk to him, you're charmed. Like, you feel like, this guy is very genuine and charming and pays very good attention to you and is able to have great conversations with you. And that what we called his superpower and have called his superpower as a GM is now starting to show itself in roster construction and show itself, Austin, in the way the Titans do business. And I think this is a really interesting nugget, because we're about to pivot to the Malik Willis conversation. And the thing with this Malik Willis conversation is it's Rand making business decisions, putting relationships first and foremost, and trusting that some of those relationships, some of those personal favors that you might do for a player or a coach or whoever it is will end up coming back and shining bright on you, in the future. So let's go ahead and get to Rand talking about Malik Willis and trading him to the Green Bay Packers.
Why Rand Carthon and the Titans traded away Malik Willis. But first, the D-Hop camp, it's just a few days away, and you still have a chance to get your son or daughter ages 8. I'm just going to say ages 8 through 15, because if your 8-year-old has football experience, whether flag or tackle, they can go out there and enjoy D-Hop's football camp, youth football camp. That's September 1st. That is Sunday. which means it's just a few days away. And if you use that link, I just posted a link in the chat. I'm also going to post our code in the chat right below the link. But if you use our code to get your son or daughter signed up for D-Hop's camp, $43. $43, as little as that. You can also add on top of it because that code is a 20% off code, your entire purchase. So you can get locker room tours, a VIP experience, or a meet and greet for your son or daughter as well. If you, the parent or the guardian, wants a sideline pass for that, you can absolutely do it as well. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for your son or daughter to have a NFL field camp with a future Hall of Fame wide receiver 1 week before the season starts. And so it is unreal. For $43, that's all it takes for your son or daughter to have this experience. All the information is right there on the link. So go check that out. It's Sunday at Nissan Stadium, powered by Octane Football. Excited about this process. And we are going to have some exclusive content with D-Hop coming up around this camp as well. So check that out. Hey, how about Jerry? My 10-year-old is pumped. Thanks for the discount. You got the whole thing. Atta baby right there. So enjoy that. And so the D-Hop football camp, still sign up. I know they have more availability. And also, I may or may not have been around some players last night, and I may or may not know that other Titans players will be in attendance at this D-Hop camp. So just a little extra nugget incentives there.
Yeah,
there you go.
You never know who's going to show up at D-Hop.
You never know. You never know. All right, so let's get to the Malik Willis trade, because I think this was also, we had a lot of Rand Carthon conversation, but this goes into what the Titans and what Rand Carthon want to be as a football organization.
In trading Malik, in terms of making that move, was that just a product of that there wasn't going to be room for 3 guys on the 53-man roster, or that you weren't going to be able to slip him through waivers and get him to the practice?
No, I don't think it's either of those. I think Malik earned the opportunity to have a chance to be the backup, whether it was here or somewhere else. And, he fought his ass off while he was here and done everything that we asked him to do. And I think everybody in this room and beyond this room saw the improvement, that he made, which is a testament to the young man, but also, to our coaching staff and Bo Hardegree and the work that he put in with him. But when it came down to it, Mason had a better offseason and a better preseason, and helped move our offense down the field. And, when it ultimately came down to it, we talk about, taking care of people, and doing what's right for our guys. And, when Green Bay called, and we knew that Malik had an opportunity to be the backup, which we feel he deserved, it wasn't necessarily about the compensation. It was just doing right by Malik and giving him that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, Austin, 2 things here. I really think there's 2 pillars of this that show an example of just like a really good, well-run organization that the Titans want to be. Number 1 is exactly what Rand said. Doing right by Malik, doing right by your players, understanding, hey, Malik has improved. He's done everything right. He's not our backup because he's our 3rd best quarterback, but he's done everything right to be an NFL backup and deserves that opportunity. And so whether it's Malik Willis traded to Green Bay and, has the ability to be on a 53-man roster and back up Jordan Love and, maybe get a shot to play in some football games, depending on how the 2024 season plays out, whether it's Braden Narvison and just sending him out there, giving him the chance to kick pretty much every field goal in the preseason for the Titans, knowing that he's got a chance to put some stuff on tape, and he won himself a job going and being the kicker for the Packers as well. So the Titans doing right by these guys, I think, at the end of the day, word spreads, word gets out fast. How Malik was treated by Rand Carthon, how Malik was treated by the Titans organization, especially in the last 2 years, year and a half since Rand came in here, will stick with him and be something that gets around. And the more that you do this, the more your reputation as being a place that takes care of their guys will be something that sticks with players around the league. And that's exactly the reputation you want to have to get players to want to come be a Tennessee Titan. Rand talks about, we want people to come in here every day and be excited to come to work. And that seems to be the type of culture that he is building. Additionally, I just think this goes to show player development and your ability to develop players. In any sport, number 1 thing to be a good team is identify talent. Good teams identify talent. great teams identify talent and develop talent to maximize the value of that talent. And so Malik Willis, maybe not the most talented quarterback you could have picked in the third round. And with John Robinson and Mike Vrabel, they didn't really develop him, and he was pretty worthless. Rand Carthon, Brian Callahan, Bo Hardigree, this new staff have poured efforts into Malik, developed Malik, and yeah, it's a 7th round pick, but you get some value back for the player. And, the teams that are able to be like, hey, we're going to scout this guy well, we're going to work on this guy, where he's going to put up some good tape, we're going to trade him for a 7th, we're going to trade him for a 5th, we're going to trade him for a 6th. Those are the teams that get ahead at the end of the day. So I think that this overall is another tip of the hat. And I thought a really cool answer from Rand Carthon.
At some point, the way that this current Titans brass treats people is going to pay off in such a major way.
Yeah.
I don't know when or how or where, but it's gonna. And so, Sam, do you mind if I go story time for a second? And
I love it.
I'm just going to go out and say this. If I was on the Buck Rising show, I would get multiple fines for the name drops that I'm about to make.
Oh gosh.
But I talked to you about this last night, so you're aware. But so last night, the Tennessee Titans had their I believe their corporate sponsor kickoff dinner, and Zach and I got invited through one of our corporate partners, and who also support the Titans. And so Zach and I were there. We're the only media outlet to be there, and so it was kind of an off the record type of night, but I think this experience was something that really opened my eyes and the difference, because Zach and I have been to several of these things, whether they're luncheons, kickoff luncheons, or dinners of the past or whatever. Normally you get, the Burke Nihill, president, CEO, to speak. Mike Keith talks to them, and Mike Keith shows some type of video about the upcoming season. A lot it's been about the stadium and all this. Normally it's either the GM or the head coach, but not necessarily both. Last night, I talked to Denard Wilson, talked to Colt Anderson before, saw Rand making the waves, got into the ballroom at the Omni Hotel where the dinner was being had. All of a sudden, there's Brian Callahan and Amy sitting front center table number 4 right there. Zach and I were at table number 3, right next to him. So all of a sudden, Mike Keith's up there. Hey, let me introduce you guys to the 2024 Titans. I'm like, okay, he's just going to go off and list the roster. Number 0, Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley walks across the stage. I'm like, oh my gosh, the whole team's here. And so number 2, Tajay Spears, boom. And all the way down from Calvin Ridley at 0 to Big Jeffrey Simmons at 98. No Rashad Weaver 99 anymore. But all the way through, Nick Vanette was there too. Elijah Molden wasn't. But all the way through, every player introduced to the crowd, waving, walking across the stage. And then it hit me about, early on in that, there are 2 empty chairs at every table. There are 2 players per table. And I'm like, this is an incredible experience. And so number 2 and number 8 sat down at our table. And I will keep the conversations that we had at our 8-person table to that 8-person table. But a great time hanging out with Levis and Tajay. But the way everything went throughout that night was unreal and so different from all of these different luncheons or dinners that we've been invited to in the past. Afterwards, talked to Amy, told her the same thing about how this feels different. She's excited. She knows this feels different. She's like, yeah, you guys, what about you guys getting some information? You guys are getting some transparency, like laughing and joking about how different it feels, and how Amy wanted everybody to be there because she's like, you know what? There's so many new players, new faces, whether they're free agents, veterans, rookies, second-year guys. They need to be back in here with the fans, right? And you could feel the excitement talking to Callahan afterwards too, talking to Burke Nihill, talking to a bunch of the different other Titans brass. So that's the end of my name-dropping session.
Well,
but that, I think, shows you, like, that's not happening, and it hasn't been happening the last 4 to 5 years. This one was so different than any other experience around those corporate luncheons that are usually a bunch of stuffiness and like, oh, let's show you this video. Let's look at the updated project on the stadium, right? And which is well done and everything, but this was all out. And I thought it was really impressive.
Yeah, it speaks to the effort and the intention, really, the intentionality from the Tennessee Titans over the last 6 months, whatever you want to call it, to have players feel like Tennessee is home, to have fans feel like we're putting in effort. We want to win as much as you do. To have media feel like they're getting information and transparency, and like across the board, there is intention behind everything the Titans do to treat people well and have people have positive experiences interacting with the Tennessee Titans. And that will translate on the field in the players that want to come here and the players that want to, the coaches that want to work here, etc. That will translate into ticket sales, right? And that is strategic from that standpoint. I was told yesterday, Austin, that the new PSLs in the new Titan Stadium, the club level, originally tracking to sell out by the end of the year. Over the last month, with the excitement building, with the number of players brought into the Titans team, the Titans are expecting to sell out of club level PSLs by tomorrow. They are building hype for this new stadium. So it is strategic.
And you mean to add something else? You mean to add something else to the club level thing with the stadium? It's not like they're offering these club level opportunities to the corporate sponsors that were there. They are not offering these club level and 1960 club opportunities to companies. They're offering them to the current people that hold club level tickets and PSLs right now.
Yeah.
Right. And so they are selling these out with their fan base, which I think is insanely impressive.
Yeah. And well, in Cap says they're expensive. Yeah, they're expensive and people are paying it because people are pumped right now. And I do want to, Darren says excitement equals money. And Amy knows that. Absolutely. And this is why Amy Adams-Strunk has really, really, really done a good job over this calendar year at pivoting, because things looked dire after Mike Vrabel was fired. It seemed like the Titans were aging. They were falling out of being competitive. There wasn't a ton of excitement, really mostly apathy towards the team. And you were building a new stadium and trying to gain excitement. And it was kind of just how are you going to fix this? But what they've done over the last 6 months is really, really impressive. And I would say it fully shows that it's exemplary ownership. It is exemplary sports ownership. The idea that if you spend money on a stadium, you spend money on a football team, you field a competitive product, you go above and beyond to nurture your relationships within the community with both fans, businesses, media. Like, if you build it, they will come. They will get excited. That week 2 game, regardless of what happens against the Bears week 1, that week 2 game against the New York Jets is going to be a damn sellout at Nissan Stadium, and it's going to be electric. I have no questions about that.
I also, they played the hype intro video that's going to air before that Jets game, and I'll just say this. It was sick.
Listen,
it was sick.
This is an interesting comment because I think this is true from Corey. Do we it almost feels forgotten that Derrick Henry left this offseason. There was so much doom and gloom about I miss Derrick Henry. This is going to stink to watch Henry on the Ravens. I don't think any Titans fan is caught up on that anymore. So it's just it's Amy, it's Rand, it's Callie, it's top to bottom with the whole, ownership group with Burke Nihill, everybody, the brand pivot the Titans have made to now have this building excitement 10 days out from the regular season, to have people itching to buy PSLs for the new stadium, this new era. It really is a cool thing to see. And as you said, it is already paying off in those ticket sales, in the excitement, in the amount of people that are going to be buying Titans jerseys and in the stadium this year. And it's eventually going to pivot to the players on the field. And you're going to realize how much Nashville loves their Titans, how much fun it is to be a Tennessee Titan. And if the team's competitive, it only adds to the mystique of what they've got going on here. You know, if you're an NFL player right now, you want to be a Titan. I have no doubt about that.
Look, Patrick's giving a thought of like, about the PSLs in the new stadium. Look, it's going to be expensive. Zach and I also had a meeting through that last week too. Like the lowest PSL ticket number is like $25K for club level, right? But
for club level,
yeah, for club level, $25K. It's going to be more affordable. That's all they're offering right now. They're about to open it up after they max out and sell out those.
The spin to the PSLs. I heard that. I think like other spots in the stadium are like $3,500, something like that.
There's gonna be. I want to say Burke Nihill put out a statement. I don't want to represent the number, but I believe there's PSLs that will be as low as like a couple grand per seat.
Now, and listen, the new stadium though is going to be smaller than like the current stadium.
More intimate.
A more intimate. A lot of these indoor venues like this that don't have this crazy capacity, like there's really not a bad seat. I mean, it's like if you buy a nosebleed seat, and this is not the same, but like if you buy a nosebleed seat at Bridgestone, you're like, oh, I'm in the nosebleeds, until you get there and you sit down and you're like, no, I can see the whole ice. Like I'm good. You know, I can watch the game.
The nose, like the current last row at Nissan Stadium, is going to be like outside the roof, like it, if you're sitting in the last row of the new stadium, you're going to be like in the middle or lower part of the current upper
level. Yeah. You're towards the lower end of the upper level in the last row view wise. So
yeah, and it's going to be condensed. And Bobby says, isn't the upper deck supposed to be as high as the club now? Not quite.
Not exactly,
low,
but closer.
But it's 38% closer is the line and the stat that they're throwing out there. That's kind of hard to make feel real. But yeah, it's if you're in the 300 level and you walk out from the concourses and you either go down or up, like that is going to be basically the top. Is with the current like entry point from the concourse to the 300 level. So it's going to be significantly improved for all seats around. So, and there's going to be so many other cool things, but more
Super Bowl, Final Four.
Oh yeah. There's all different things we can do. Cristoforo. Either way, I've heard it the same. Says exciting times to be a Titans fan. I've heard it both ways, Sam. I don't know if you get that right.
The right way and then yours.
Exciting times for sure to be a Titans fan. So let's move on back to the football team, because I love the tangent there that we went off. The overall message of how this front office and how this brass is treating people will pay off in a major way. Now you got to be able to win to keep that thing going.
Yeah.
And so I want you to kind of set up the story about David Martin Robinson here in a second, about how he made the team and what Rand Carthon said about what they learned about their undrafted rookie tight end. So we'll get to that here in a second. But Bone and Joint Institute, look, when you graduate from physical therapy at the Bone and Joint Institute, you get a t-shirt, which is what I did back in the spring. Had a little knee tendonitis, but 7 sessions of physical therapy later, which was under the 12 that my doctor thought I would need. I was out of there with a t-shirt and graduating from that. The Bone and Joint Institute has been able to help me through a few injuries over the last couple of years. They've been doing the same thing for Middle Tennesseans over the last 5 since they opened in Franklin. You can see right there on the graphic, a beautiful campus there of I-65 on Highway 96, right next door to Williamson Medical Center. They have all the experts and the resources right there under that one roof, whether it's the clinic, the testing, imaging, surgery center happens right there, rehab facilities right there too under that same roof, same address, or they've got clinics and therapy centers across Williamson County, and they continue to grow. So that's where you should go, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. It's so easy to book an appointment. Use their website link to do that, boneandjointtn.org.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM. BetMGM is the sports book born in Vegas, and when you use the bonus code ATOZ Sports, your first bet is risk-free. Whatever your first bet wager amount is, up to $1,500, that money will go back into your account in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet misses. With that bonus code, ATOZ Sports, that's all you got to do. Place a bet, use that bonus code, and risk-free stuff. So if you're looking to maybe make a bigger play, maybe you want a futures play, listen, I've done my no runs first innings. I've done my college football, which did not work in my favor. Never again bet in week 0. Listen, the Titans are still at 6.5. 6.5 wins is still the total on BetMGM right now for the Tennessee Titans. If you're as excited about the season as I think you are, you might want to get some action in on that and try and get over 6.5 wins for the Titans this year. If you're going to do it, though, use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM and BetMGM.com, the sports book born in Vegas.
All right, make sure you like the show. I just realized that I forgot to like the show on Facebook, so I just went and did that. So hit that like button, like the show on Facebook and on YouTube. It goes a long way for us. So Sam, set the table again for us on the conversation between or about David Martin Robinson, who, correct me if I'm wrong, the only UDFA to make this roster? Rookie. The only rookie.
Only UDFA rookie, yes.
I want to say there's 8 rookies that made the 53. All 7 draft picks made it. Now, Cedric Gray's going to IR or designated to return. But I believe just David Martin Robinson, the only UDFA, because Gabe Judy-Lally got cut for the practice squad. And Jabari Small also. And there weren't a ton of notable UDFAs. Isaiah Ayton practice squad as well. So that's what I want to say. David Martin Robinson, only UDFA, which I think tells you a lot about the state of the roster too.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Titans have less room to squeak some of these like random UDFAs available. I would say, well, technically they waiver claimed, Julius Wood, who is a rookie undrafted free agent, who was not a Titans undrafted free agent, but, signed with Dallas, had a good preseason, now is on the Titans roster. So he would count as well.
There you go. 9 rookies made this on this team right now.
Yeah. So David Martin Robinson makes this team. And I'm trying to find this quote exactly because I did think it was really interesting. So Brian Callahan talked about tight ends, and the Titans kept 5 of them, including 2 very young tight ends. And one of the points of emphasis from Brian Callahan was just tight ends are hard to find. Tight ends that are young, that show a lot of upside, are difficult to find. And you want to be able to take your guys, keep your guys around, and invest in your guys. Here is a quote that he has about keeping David Martin Robinson and Thomas Odukoya. This from Brian Callahan. It's more the latter if you're trying to put them in a bucket, because I think that we felt like between DMR and Thomas Odukoya, we had 2 guys who had fit very different positions in the tight end room, both equally well. It's hard to find tight ends. They're not, the good ones are generally difficult to find. And we've gotten 2 guys that, one, Thomas has been poured into over 3 years now. You hate to put Thomas on waivers, and now he's somebody else's gain for all the work you put into the player. And then DMR was, again, young, athletic, talented. Those guys usually don't make it through waivers. Not to say they would or would not have. I guess we'll never know, but that was by design, as we wanted to keep our young players. And we think at a position that it's hard to develop and it takes time to develop at, to make sure we had young guys in the room we felt really good about. So the Titans know it takes time to develop tight ends. They want to keep the guys that they have seen signs of growth for, some flashes of in their room as younger tight ends. And with DMR specifically, it's all about, can you get this guy through waivers? Can you get this guy back on your practice squad? And back when the Titans had joint practices with the Seattle Seahawks, David Martin Robinson had some really, really strong practices, was making plays all over the place, getting very physical, showing his athleticism. And a lot of the Seahawks people that were there started to go, who's that guy? Martin Robinson, huh? And they started to make some phone calls. And, Rand Carthon picked up on it, says he got some calls from Seattle and knew that there was no way David Martin Robinson was making it through waivers if he wasn't kept on the 53.
I think it's evident,
you
started to flash during practices, and so you kind of got to see, what it was going to look like when he got the opportunity in the earlier part of practices before we kicked off the games. And in every game, he did something that would catch your eye. And then you started, we had the joints with Seattle, and kind of heard whispers from their guys like, hey, who is that guy? And so you knew, a young, talented player like that, teams are always looking for that developmental tight end. And had we exposed him to waiver, there was no chance we were getting it back.
No chance we were getting him back. Shout out to Terry McCormick for absolutely smacking that keyboard like he does during every press conference, just punching that thing. But
That's
yeah,
because Terry thinks he's still using a typewriter.
yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
Austin, your thoughts on Rand, saying he gets that call from Seattle, felt like he's not getting the player through waivers, so the Titans keeping both their young tight ends on the active roster.
Well, I think it's interesting because the tight end position is such a weapon in today's NFL. And when you go look at, because we spent a lot of time, right, in the pre-draft process, like Brock Bowers at 7, and like, but then the whole thing is that you can find a tight end at any point in the draft, right? Some of the best tight ends in the game currently are day 3 picks. Hall of Fame tight ends are day 3 picks. Delaney Walker was the best, and Frank Wycheck.
How much is that true now? I don't know if that's true anymore.
I think there are some different ones, right? Like there's some guys that have been drafted. I mean, you go look at the success rate of first round tight ends, and it's not as high as most positions. And so
I think the league in general has gotten better at scouting the tight end position. And if you were to look at the guys, the Sam Laportas, TJ Hawkins, Travis Kelce's, Mark Andrews.
But where was Travis Kelce drafted?
The 2nd round, I think. Maybe the 3rd, but he was a day 2 pick. But like even Travis Kelce's one of the older tight ends in the league now. The younger guys that you see coming and making an impact, even like a Trey McBride, right?
I guess here's my point. Is that like you can draft, like I don't think I would have been upset if the Titans drafted Brock Bowers at 7. I think Brock Bowers is a stud, but you can find like the difference of Brock Bowers at 7 and David Martin Robinson undrafted. That's not as big of a difference as JC Latham at 7 and undrafted tackle. Right. Like that is a huge gap.
Yeah.
Right. Where positional value is crazy. And so tight ends can be developed and they take time. There's different types of tight ends that come in different waves. And I think with David Martin Robinson, like Rand's right. Like he made a play in every damn game. Like you can't, like who else can you say that about on the roster that made a play in all 3 games?
Yeah, and like I don't necessarily expect David Martin Robinson. We'll see. They won't have 5 tight ends active on game day.
No.
They probably might only have 3, right? DMR might not be active on game day, but when you see the flashes that Martin Robinson showed, when you see, hey, he's making this play, he's making that play, he's getting better as a blocker, there's some upside here. Like, and you look at Thomas Odukoya and who he was 3 years ago when he came over to the Titans through the International Pathway Program in Central Michigan, and he was not an NFL player, right? And part of the IPP is designed to have a guy like Thomas Odukoya who's not ready for the league, who's not going to play professional football because he hasn't played it for as long as some of these other guys, to spend some extra time working with NFL coaches and develop. And I think every year, Austin, we have seen Thomas Odukoya get better to the point where he has value to the Titans now in 2024 and is going to be an NFL player playing in NFL games, which is a really cool story, a 27-year-old rookie in the NFL. And if you look at Thomas Odukoya's consistent development and then take where David Martin Robinson is right now and potentially see David Martin Robinson improve year after year, right? Like who's to say that in year 3, year 4, David Martin Robinson can't be a really impactful tight end for the Titans? I think that's the vision that Rand and Callie see. And so it is absolutely worth it to keep that guy on your roster, continue to nurture and develop him, see what kind of value he has further down the road, and make sure you don't lose him to a waiver claim.
Sure. I agree. It's development. And like, you don't have a lot of room to develop in the NFL, but a lot of players can take a flyer on a international pathway guy. And, at some point there's an expiration date on it, but you have Thomas Odukoya under the previous staff and continuing under this staff has shown signs of progress enough to make him valuable to keep around. So look, I think 5 tight ends sounds like insane, but I think 4 tight ends on game day could be a realistic possibility because Hassan Haskins is gone because you're not going to have as many inside linebackers active on game day because those guys are teams' bodies.
Yeah, I mean, 5 tight ends is surprising, but when you have 5 guys worthy of rostering, like I would just say, like, where's the position on offense at least that you're like, the Titans didn't keep enough guys there. Like, you lost Hassan Haskins to waivers. No sweat off my back that you don't have a 4th running back in that room. I think you're good with your 2 quarterbacks. You had 6 receivers, and you got the 2 guys that you really felt good about, Mason Kinsey and Bryce Oliver. You got them through waivers to your practice squad, where you can elevate either one. If you need a receiver, maybe you elevate Bryce Oliver. You need a punt returner, maybe you elevate Mason Kinsey. You've got both of those guys there. And you kept 9 offensive linemen, which was the number we kind of expected all along. So what is the the trade-off of 5 tight ends? I don't know what you're missing that I'd be like, I wouldn't rather have that David Martin Robinson on this team. I think it's fine.
For sure. There's something that's popped up the last 2 days, and I think it's crazy. And I want to get, because Jack and I talked about it yesterday on Jack's last show. R.I.P. Jack, by the way.
R.I.P. Jack.
But no, I want to ask your thoughts on this, about the potential of Chig Okonkwo to be traded. Now, hold your horses on your thoughts, because we're also going to parlay this into the 4 cornerbacks situation on the roster too. But Chig Okonkwo, trade bait. But Farm Bureau Health Plans is where you should turn for all of your health coverage needs. Farm Bureau Health Plans has been serving Tennesseans for 78 years and can do both of these 2 things: give you better coverage for a lower rate. That's the best of both worlds. Who would not want that for their themselves, their family, their growing family? Maybe you and your spouse are empty nested because your kids are out of the house and off doing their own thing, and get them off your plan. They're over 26. They can take care of themselves now. You and your spouse can readjust your situation for that next level of life. And Farm Bureau Health Plan specializes in that. And you can have your kids, hey, you're 26 years old now. Go get your own plan. Go to Farm Bureau Health Plans too. And you can do all of that by getting a quote. So easy, such a simple process. Use our link, fbhp.com/ATOZ for Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM. Get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses with that bonus code ATOZ Sports. Place a bet. If it loses, no worries. Up to $1,500. That money goes back into your account in the form of a bonus bet for a second chance to win big. That's why you need to get with the sportsbook born in Vegas, because football is here, baby. College football today. BetMGM, BetMGM.com, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
All right, so Devin first says, I like DMR better than Wiley at this point. I think they're different. I think you should, and Josh Wiley is gonna
good.
I think he's gonna be good. Like I
don't like that opinion.
Yeah, and plus, like both of them. You don't have to like one of them. Like both of them. You're not trying to get married to a tight end. You can have multiple tight ends.
David Martin Robinson. We need to take an extra time to poo-poo Devin's opinion here. Okay. David Martin Robinson is not better than Josh Wiley.
No. Is that all the time you need?
It's not like a flavor of the day type of thing, what you're feeling. Like, it's not the case.
Plus, like both. Who cares? All right, so here's the other thing, though, too, because Jason says, any chance of them trading Chig? And then Jay, Chig trade leading the Titans to fill the needed quarterback depth. And Patrick says, if Chig doesn't improve from last year, he will lose his job quick this year. Like, losing his job, losing snaps, maybe. I don't know. But the idea of trading Chig, I thought it was crazy when I saw that being floated around on social media that made its way onto the show via the chat yesterday. What are your thoughts, Sam?
Yeah, not something I would do. Not something I would be interested in. I mean, what are you getting for Chig? A 6th round pick?
A day 3 pick?
A day 3 pick?
More than you got for Elijah Molden.
Are you?
Yes.
Austin, you got a pick. The Rams got a pick swap for Ernest Jones.
Yeah, 2 drafts from now.
A pick swap 2 drafts from now is even less valuable.
Yeah, but Chig got 2 years left on his deal instead of just the 1 year left.
Sure. I mean, the NFL, I'm always
offense surprised. Is more valuable than defense.
I don't know for that.
I mean, day 3 pick.
I'm regularly surprised by the lack of return in draft capital that proven NFL players get. I don't think you're getting anything for Chig that is like worth rocking the boat. I think he
Agreed.
has a ton of impact on your offense still. Is he better than Josh Wiley? Does he have a bigger impact than Josh Wiley? Like, I don't know. We'll see. But, like, you don't have a tight end in the room that has the same speed and athleticism as Chig, the same ability after the catch. Does he need to work on his ability to catch the ball and hold on to the ball and all of those things? Absolutely. But Chig has been working with Will Levis all offseason. He has been on those Cabo trips. He has been in these rooms. The chemistry is still there. I am not trading Chig. Absolutely not.
I'm not
You know,
either.
that is unnecessary. And I just don't think, like, I think, right, David Martin Robinson has shown signs of being good, and we're very encouraged by that. Thomas Odukoya has improved, but neither one of those guys, I think, are on the caliber of the football player of Chigakonkwo right now. I don't think either one will have as good of a season if you put them into Chig's position. So give me Chigakonkwo. Yeah, have as good of a football team as possible. I don't need to trade Chig. No.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think trading Chig makes any sense at all. So, all right, let's flip it over to the wide receiver, or I'm sorry, the cornerback conversation. I was looking to find a comment that I really liked here from Jay. I don't know, it might have disappeared on me here in the chat, but the comment was basically the cutting of Trey Avery shows the higher standard that the Titans are going to have at the cornerback position. So let's hear from Brian Callahan, the head coach, on how they were only keeping 4 cornerbacks on the active roster, 2 of which have not practiced in like a month, in L'Jarius Sneed and Cheeto Awuzie, followed by Roger McCreary and the rookie Jarvis Brownlee Jr.
What's your comfort level with sticking with 4 corners? Do you feel like you need a 5th or 6th, or is this 4 kind of where you're?
I think you're always looking for the next, whatever the 5th guy might be in that room. But we've also got guys in the practice squad you can elevate. That's an easy. They each get 2 elevations apiece, and usually that 5th corner is your special teams player anyway. And so those are roster mechanics that we work through. But as of right now, with the practice squad guys and the guys in the roster, feel pretty good where that spot's at, and we can always add more if one were to be available.
It's a great point, right? Like if there's not that big of a difference in Trey Avery, Gabe Jeudy-Lally, and Eric Garror, then put them all 3 on this practice squad, and you can bring up one of those 3 guys 6 different times. And so now you're fine, right?
Bring
and
up Trey Avery for 3 weeks, bring up Gabe Jeudy-Lally for 3 weeks, whoever that CB5 is. The fact that you were able to get all of them through waivers onto the practice squad, you're good, right? Like, you don't have to have guys. And that's where, like, the difference, I guess, is between 10,000 foot view of a roster and the nitty gritty of a roster. Because 10,000 foot view, you're like, well, the Titans only have 4 cornerbacks and they're keeping 5 tight ends. But when you look at the guys that are going to be active on game day, it's going to be like 3-4 tight ends, at least 5 cornerbacks. They're going to kind of shift that, because if you elevate somebody, they'll be active on game day, all this stuff. So yeah, they're going to have more than 4 cornerbacks in a game. You cannot go into a game with 4 cornerbacks healthy. I just think that's foolish a little bit, setting yourself up for disaster. So somebody will get bumped up and play in that spot. But because those guys are replacement level and not going to get claimed, you don't have to use a 53-man roster spot on them the way you might a young tight end with upside. So it's an interesting thought from an idea from Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan, getting creative with it a little bit.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. And then the last thing, I think the good news is that Brian Callahan is very confident in the plan for both L'Jarius Sneed and Cheeto Awuzie. Here's the head coach again.
He's practicing, so he's ready to roll. He should be a full participant with no limitations at every practice from now until we play. So that's part of the plan, was to get him to this point. That's why you didn't see him a ton in training camp, and he got most of his work in the walkthrough sessions and jog-through sessions that you guys weren't at. But yeah, he should be ready to roll. Same. He was.
Yeah, Pistol Ramsey says Callie sounds confident about Sneed. He is, and Sneed's just as confident as well. He was a full participant in practice yesterday. L'Jarius Sneed said to the media in a little scrum after practice, "It's go time." He says, we're starting to feel momentum, building for the regular season. No more, holding out from practice to protect yourself or preventative this or training plan or whatever. Like, training camp is done. It's time to focus on the Bears. It's time to focus on week 1 and getting ready to go, have an awesome 17-game season. So L'Jarius Sneed is back, all the way back. And Cheeto, not a full participant, but next week expected to be a full participant. And Denard Wilson made that promise a couple weeks ago that both of them would be ready to go for the Bears week 1. And that's certainly what you want to hear.
It absolutely is. All right, Sam, any other notes from yesterday that we passed over that you think are need to be brought up here?
Maybe, but my note is that we need to get to the Magic Bucket because I got to get to St. Thomas Sports Park for Brian Callahan's availability in 45 minutes.
Wow. I that's my fault. I forgot about that. Real quick, Andre has a super chat. Malik traded, Ritter waived, Pickett traded, Howell traded, Corral gone, Zappy gone. Purdy was the only one that was a bad class, not just Malik. I mean, yeah, I think that's a major NFL theme there with what happened over.
It was a really bad class.
Yeah, really bad class.
And we knew it going in. I mean, what was there, one first-round quarterback? So,
yeah, Kenny Pickett. And then they all dropped. All right, now it is time for the Magic Bucket. Wilson County Hyundai, WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where to go make them a part of your new car buying process. Make sure you see Payne Bone and his team in Lebanon online at WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Sam, hold tight.
You need to get the Magic Bucket. In the meantime, Nick wants to know who's going to win, Illinois or the Eastern Illinois Fighting Tony Romos or the Fighting Jimmy Garoppolos, depending on how you look at it. Illinois 27.5-point favorite, so I'm riding ILL with the Illini. Brett Bielema might have the boys in the college football playoff. I said it. Who says no? Not me. Austin would if he knew what I said, but, he's out of pocket a little bit. I'm excited for college football. Get Illinois rolling here. Expanded playoff. We're back. You ready?
That's right. All right.
I said Brett Bielema and the Illini are going to the college football playoff, and you didn't say anything. You didn't object, so
no. I think that is a hilarious take. All right,
ILL, baby.
Sam, I don't think I'm curious to see where you go with this because you're a young man. I don't know if you've had many of these. But Sam, what was the worst job you've ever had?
All right. Bussing
tables.
Yeah. I haven't had too many jobs. So I worked as a little kid's birthday party host. It was my first job when I was like 15 and 16 at like the local park district kind of a thing. So I would just like host these birthday parties and entertain the kids. That wasn't super great, but it was convenient for my schedule because it was like weekends only as a high school athlete. And so that was good because I couldn't go to work on weekdays when I had practice after school. So that was good. The rest of high school really and all of college, I worked as a delivery driver for local Chicago and Chinese pizza places in the,
Nice.
And that was the best job. That was so much fun. I had a blast doing that. I would highly recommend if any of you guys watching have a kid in like high school right now that's like looking for work, then you're trying to get them to have a job. They want to make some money. Get them into delivery. Go to a pizza place, go to a Chinese place, find somewhere they can do delivery. It's a good deal. In between though, there was a breakfast place, a couple minutes from my parents' house that I was really into the idea of getting into serving at the time because my birthday party hosting job was serving adjacent, but did not allow me to accept tips. And I really wanted to work for tips. And so I said, I got to get into serving. So I went a bunch of places and tried to get into serving, and nobody would hire me as a server until I had experience bussing. And this one breakfast place says, well, if you do a couple months bussing, we can elevate you to a server. And that was absolutely what I wanted to do. So I took the job. My first day working was Thanksgiving. And I was working a breakfast place when nothing's really open on Thanksgiving from like 6 a.m. to noon, just like bussing all of these breakfast tables, wearing my little stupid hat and bib and collared shirt, walking around the Walker Brothers pancake house or whatever. I was kind of intrigued by this idea that I'd get tipped out by the servers and that I could make good money doing it. And then I got to the end of the day, realized that it was way harder than the job I had just been doing as a server, was way harder than something like delivery driving, which I had friends that were doing at the time. And I think I made something at the end of the day. Take home was like $11 an hour after tips. And so I was very quickly not happy with that. I think I lasted a week at that job and never picked up my first check. I just, told the guy, I don't think this is for me.
You never picked up the check, so you never.
I was too embarrassed to face him. I was like, hey, I'm not doing this anymore after like 3 days. And then I just never went and got the check because I didn't want to talk to the guy anymore and was a little bit afraid of confrontation.
Worst
So,
I will
there you
say,
go.
I think there is nothing more disgusting than unused ketchup in a dish.
Mhm.
Like, especially if somebody else used it. That makes me gag.
I hate ketchup. I hate eating ketchup. And so, like just breakfast plates of like half-eaten breakfast is disgusting.
Gross.
And I'm sitting there, and like the thing that was the most frustrating part of it, Austin, was I'm like, my job is worse and harder than the servers. Like the servers are walking around like, hey, what can I, like, you memorize the menu, you walk around, you take your notes, you go and you bring out the food. All of the tough stuff nobody wants to do, I'm doing. They're making all the money, and I'm the one like cleaning the tables and whatnot. I'm like, the bussers should get paid more. And that I was not happy. That was not a good job.
I think, old ketchup that's left on a dish unused is the worst. The second worst to that is ranch in the same situation.
Agreed.
Just dried, unused condiments that are just sitting on a dish.
People are wondering, how do you hate ketchup? I just think ketchup kind of sucks. Like, I'm not a big tomato guy, and ketchup is like, it's tomato, but like the worst form of like fake tomato.
Yeah, it's just sugar.
Yeah, it's sugar tomato.
Tomato sugar sauce.
Both. Sauce, but then gross.
Ketchup has plummeted in my condiments rankings as I get older.
Absolutely.
All right, so this is my magic bucket pool. I don't think I've had this. I believe Jack has. Do you shower in the morning or at night? Explain. I think you've also had this at some point. But I am a morning shower every day, at all points. Morning shower, you get up. That's how you start your day, fresh and clean to go about it. And, I think on the weekends, maybe you have some more leeway with that because you can go do some stuff around the house before hopping in the shower, get some things done. But I am a shower in the morning. If I got to leave the house or whatever, you got to get a shower first. And so that is how I go about it. But obviously if you exercise or work out, or if you're out in the sun, then you hit the shower after that too. But I'm always a morning shower person.
I'm a 3 showers a day type of guy.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I don't think that's 100% necessary.
Pretty consistent though. I'm just like, am I not feeling 100%? Shower. Like that'll recharge real quick. It gives you a little energy boost. So
there you go. Corey says that I sit down in the shower and watch the show. I mean, we didn't need to know that, but that's cool.
Love that.
So, all right, guys, that's it. Sam's got to run to Titans practice here coming up soon.
I just realized I get the Sammy Showers nickname in the chat a lot. Is that where that comes from? The fact that I take a bunch of showers? I'm a shower guy. Self-proclaimed shower guy. I mean,
it's better than to not be a shower guy,
I'll own a shower guy. I'm down.
All right, that's it. Make sure you hit the like button on Facebook and on YouTube. Like the show before you go. It helps us out tremendously. So hit that like button. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning on a Friday to end the weekend, getting us to game week. So we're almost to game week, guys. So hit that like button. Appreciate it as always. And we'll catch you guys later on. Thanks.